Welcome to the Diabetes Podcast. Real stories, real science, and a little fun along the way. Today's part 2 of our 4-part series on the Grift. We're talking about that hidden Parasites ad you've probably seen and revealing the 7 moves it uses to hook good people on bad promises. If you've ever thought, oh, that sounds like me, this episode is your safety net. No blame, just tools to spot the tactics, save your money, and protect your health with what truly works for type 2 and prediabetes. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Diabetes Podcast. I'm Richie.
And I'm Amber.
And Amber, today we are doing part 2 of our 4-part series on the Grift, modern day snake oil sales people and companies, why supplements, specifically supplement advertising, is so convincing even when they can't really deliver on a lot of the claims that they're making.
Yeah. Very true. So we're going to talk about an ad very specifically that was sent to me by
several times.
Yes. 2 people, 2 of our clients sent me the exact same advertisement. Mm-hmm. And, you know, upon looking at it, I'm like, I understand why this is so compelling. You know, I thought, okay, I want to dissect this on the podcast and really look at everything. So I thought I'd start out kind of by setting the mood for this, being kind of like we did with the last one, same sort of idea that you're not looking for supplements online. You're just scrolling late at night. Maybe you're in bed on the couch, maybe either one, halfway watching something, and your thumb's just doing the finger is doing the up scroll, you know, not paying attention on autopilot. And then you see this ad, and the headline is something along the lines of hidden parasites, stealing your energy, clouding your mind, and bloating your stomach. And normally you would keep scrolling, but tonight you're tired, like really tired. And the kind of tired that is just like a long week at the end of a long day, you know, just not really feeling your best energy. And
in all fairness, you tell me that I might have parasites, I probably want to know about that. So,
right? You're like, what?
You have piqued my interest, madam. Tell me more about the invaders.
Scroll.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
With this idea, and you're like, oh no, surely not. So you tap it, and the page opens with a story about a woman named, let's say, Rachel. Sure, okay. She's 30. Sorry, Rachel, my sister-in-law. I don't mean you. She's 37-ish, you know.
And riddled with parasites.
Anyway, this Rachel is describing your fatigue, your brain fog.
I'm riddled with parasites.
Yes. Yeah. Not me, of course. That 3 p.m. crash that you're experiencing right before the end of the day. And for a second, just for a second, it feels like you're being heard. It feels like they've got your number and they fully understand what it is that you're going through. And that's all that it takes, is that 1 second. And millions of dollars have been spent on how to stop the scroll and get you hooked for that 1 second. And today's episode is really about that second and beyond, like what that looks like, how these ads are designed to really pull you in and all the levels that they work on. And the hope is that once you understand how these are all designed and the marketing evil genius, if you will, of this, that you'll no longer get sucked into them or be as at risk of them. So we'll talk about why it feels so real and how an entire industry is built around engineering that exact moment across supplements, cleanses, detox teas, everything in between. And so last episode, we asked the question, do weight loss drugs, not weight loss drugs. We asked, do weight loss supplements really work?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw maybe 0.2%,
It was a factor of 10 at least less effective than the medicines that are normally
Exactly.
prescribed.
And we pointed to berberine and cinnamon as being those like 0.2%, but not really passing the worth your time and energy line. And so we're going to, then that takes us into this other question of, if the evidence is clear that those don't work, and the evidence is clear that other supplements don't work, why do people still stop the
scroll?
Thank you.
Yeah.
The scroll. The troll.
Don't stop
The troll toll. So like, why do these ads work? And that's what we're answering today. And we're going to discuss it really by focusing on this one ad. So no shame to anyone that clicked on it. This is not like, look at you did. Shame. I know your name.
I want to know about those parasites.
Yes. So we want to talk more about this story. So the truth that lowers your defenses is that if you, okay, I've done this before. That's why I want to make sure that we understand we're not talking about shame, because I have done this. Dang greens powders, I am like, maybe I just don't get enough fruits and vegetables. This is concentrated fruits and
I
vegetables.
can tell you that's patently false. Everyone gets abundant fruits and vegetables.
Well, I mean, at times in my life, though, I haven't always gotten even 5 servings of vegetables. It's been a real struggle. So I thought, well, I can just take this shortcut, get this, so I get it. And I want to say that doesn't mean you're gullible or stupid, because then I'd be calling myself gullible and stupid, which you could probably collect enough evidence to show that sometimes I can be very, very gullible, and sometimes some things that I have said and done, you'd be like, "Are you stupid?" Maybe sometimes,
I would never.
Because you're smart.
I don't want to die.
Yes, so I'm talking to myself, but especially my former self that has fallen for these ads, and you, the listener. So these ads are carefully engineered by people who understand human psychology, copywriting, and emotional hooks, like how to really get you and trigger you emotionally as well, at a very high professional level that's been studied through decades. And the person who wrote the ad that I'm about to talk about has really like fired on all cylinders with this. Like, if I weren't like angry at it, I'd be impressed, and I'm kind of impressed. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. It's a really great example, I guess I would say, of this type of marketing.
So anger is a secondary emotion. Are you scared or hurt by this ad?
I'm hurt by it. I'm hurt because it hurts people that I care about. It hurts a very vulnerable population of people, which we'll also get into. So anyway, when you look at this persuasive type ad, every sentence is structural. Every paragraph is doing its job to carry you to the sale of the product. And they target people who are in a very specific emotional state: exhausted, frustrated, let down by conventional medicine, and searching for answers. And that it's that vulnerability that's being exploited commercially. So yes, I'm sad underneath the anger. So as we walk through this, I want you to let go of any embarrassment. Instead, I just want to open up your curious mind. I want to open up curiosity, because I really want this to lose power over people. I want them to get curious and start asking questions when they see these ads that helps them understand that this doesn't work on the core defects of type 2 diabetes. Okay. So if it doesn't work on the core defects, it's not going to work, period. So the ad that we're looking at is for a product called Everwell Aged Garlic Extract.
Oh, boy.
And I would think that I would like aged garlic. Maybe anything garlic, I'm sold, you know. It's marketed as a parasite cleanse. It costs about $30 for 3 bottles on their current promotion. And it's one of, as I've said, the most well-constructed pieces of health marketing I've ever encountered. So I'm going to walk you through the 7 steps that this ad goes through that takes you through this emotional process towards the sale, and it follows this really strict formula. So the first formula is the first step, if you will, in this formula is the symptom net, where they kind of cast this wide net of symptoms. It opens with this list. You're experiencing brain fog. Why can't I talk today? Brain fog, bloating. Like they purposefully hit on the most common random symptoms that most people would have: sugar cravings, mood swings, skin breakouts, digestive issues, very non-specific stuff.
Amber?
Yes.
I think I might have parasites.
I know, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes. And then it says, and I'm quoting directly, most folks experience at least 3 of these symptoms regularly. So let's stop right there.
Regardless of whether they're riddled with parasites.
Right? So I'm going to read it again. Brain fog, fatigue, bloating, sugar cravings, mood swings, skin issues, digestive trouble. I mean, who doesn't experience at least 3 of these? These are amongst the most common in adult modern life, and they overlap with sleep deprivation, stress, insulin resistance, perimenopause, hypothyroidism, depression, low fiber intake, dehydration. I'm going to add technology woes to that. Just being a human in a demanding life, they overlap. So the net is designed to be wide, and its purpose isn't to identify people with a specific condition. Its purpose is to be very vague and general, and really make as many people identify with these symptoms as possible. So the moment that you think, that's me, the ad has you. And you've progressed from this casual scroller to potential customer. And here's the connection to what we talked about last episode. If you're someone who's living with type 2 diabetes, you feel all of these symptoms probably more than most. And so it really hits you hard, because glucose variability can cause fatigue and brain fog. Insulin resistance can drive the sugar cravings. Poor sleep is extremely common with metabolic dysfunction, and it can also cause mood instability. So it's like a double whammy with those symptoms. And then we have the hidden villain. So once the ad has your attention, they have to find the villain for you. It needs to give you a cause, and not just any cause, a hidden cause, a mysterious cause.
Maybe the one that doctors won't tell you or don't want you to know about.
You're on to something. Something lurking beneath the surface that explains everything. So in this ad, Parasites quote, "Your gut could be hosting uninvited guests." We didn't invite these dirty suckers. Other ads use different villains. It might be toxins, candida or yeast, leaky gut, heavy metals, mycotoxins. The specific villain changes, but the structure is always the same. So, and when I say mycotoxins, of course, mold can cause problems, but as many toxicologists will tell you, the dose makes the poison. And we're talking about, you're going to probably test positive for some kind of mold just from foods that you eat.
Yeah.
But it's when you get massive amounts that it can create very allergic symptoms and more immune responses. And anyway, so I'm not talking about that, but this is often used and they blow it up, to something bigger than it is. But there's always this
it's
one.
It's definitely not the fact that your A1C is 11.
Right.
That's
Oh my gosh. Yes. If your A1C is 11, that's your problem. That's your problem. Yeah. But but it's just that one thing causing your problems that nobody's told you about until now. And it's unfortunately psychologically irresistible. And here's why: your brain craves causal simplicity. So when you have 7 symptoms and someone offers you one solution or one explanation, that feels like some kind of insight. It feels like clarity. It feels like that moment in the mystery movie when the detective connects all of the clues together. But as I said in episode 1, that bears repeating again, because it's the foundation of the entire series, is that type 2 diabetes is not a simple disease process. It is not just one problem. It's multiple systems interacting: liver, muscle, adipose tissue,
12
sleep
core dysfunctions.
Yes, 12 core dysfunctions.
All of them just totally go away if you stop eating white food.
Your sarcasm, sir. Oh my gosh. Yes. And the reason that symptoms can feel very complex is because they are very complex. Collapsing that complexity into parasites or toxins or any single villain is not clarity. It's oversimplification dressed as some sort of revelation. It's just not. So then we have the third step or ingredient in this formula, and that is the emotional release. So this is the layer that gets people at their core, at their most deepest level. And this is where the truth, there's some truth in this, and then there's not. So the ad says, quote, "It's actually not your fault because your body is under attack from the inside and you didn't even know it." And if you're living with type 2 diabetes, or you've struggled with weight the majority of your life, or you've been exhausted and foggy and nobody can tell you why, that sentence feels like a breath of fresh air, like somebody's handing you a lifeline. It feels it's not your fault. And that part is the truth.
Yeah.
That part is absolutely true. And
the diabetogenic environment is real. And check out episode, I think 51, if you want greater details on how it got this bad. But
yeah, you're not lazy. Your metabolic changes and challenges are not some sort of moral failure. There are real biological, as you said, environmental and genetic systemic factors that have contributed to where you are. The shame narrative around diabetes is one of the most destructive forces in healthcare. And as you said, we talk about that in that episode. So the ad isn't wrong to say that it's not your fault. But what comes next, where the ad goes off track, is where it takes that emotional relief and connects it directly to a product that they sell, which is just like, so it's not your fault. It's Parasites. Buy this garlic supplement.
Are they little vampires? Like, what's the the deal with the garlic?
Little garlic, the vampire parasites. So, yeah. I can't answer that question, Richie, but if you've ever seen a parasite,
I
like
want to inflame your bowels.
like through a electron microscope, or maybe you don't need electron. Know what see about the stupid part. Sometimes I say things. If you see them through those, like I don't know what kind of microscope it is. Not one that I have in my house, but where you see the parasite up close and it's like, it looks like the pit of Sarlacc, it's like, it's gross. Anyway, you would think it was a vampire that garlic would fix. But anyway, back to the story at hand. Why it's important is that emotional relief that the ad gives in this moment is that it lowers it lowers your defenses. It lowers critical thinking. And in the moment, you feel seen and unburdened, and you're less likely to question what comes next. And the ad knows this. The sequence of the ad is not by accident. It is very well thought out, very well planned, a lot of psychology behind it. So then they come in with an authority disruption. Now the ad needs to solve a problem that they have identified. If parasites are causing all of this, why hasn't the doctor found them, right? Because surely the doctor would find this. If you go to your appointments and you have all this, why are they not telling you? What are they hiding from you? And the way that the ad handles this, so I quote again, standard testing misses them 80% of the time. It says your doctor told you your blood work was normal. It says expensive functional medicine protocols cost $3,500 and aren't sustainable. Do you see what just happened? So in 3 moves, this ad has dismissed conventional medicine. It has dismissed alternative medicine as well, and then positioned itself as the only remaining source of answers.
And a bargain at that.
Right. What a bargain. And it's one of the most powerful and dangerous moves in the supplement marketing. And it's because it doesn't just sell you a product, it isolates you from the people and systems that could actually help you. It tells you that doctors can't find it. Testing just can't detect it. And the specialists are going to overcharge you. So the only thing left is this supplement. So for someone with unmanaged type 2, this kind of framing can delay medication conversations, delay proper diagnostic workups, and delay the interventions that actually change
it's
outcomes.
Going to delay the lifestyle change, the actually getting up and doing the things that meaningfully make a difference, because those pills are just easy.
Yeah. And according to this pill is the answer. It's the everything. And so then let's talk about the other step to it is the science language formula, where they take real scientific language but use it out of context. So this is where it gets genuinely clever, and it's the layer that makes smart, educated people think, okay, maybe there is something to this because I've heard of that. I've heard of that. And then they look it up and like, oh, this does exist. So this particular ad talks about biofilms, a real concept. These are structures that microorganisms form. So in my background in food science, we learned a lot about biofilms that can get on some of the food production machinery that over time these can build up and create food hazards. So they're well studied in infectious disease. So they're not just in food production stuff, but others. And the ad mentions the gut microbiome. This is a real thing. We talk about this in the fiber episode and other episodes. It references inflammation, real and important. It cites over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies. It talks about S-allocysteine and 98% bioavailability and 24-month fermentation protocols. every one of these terms corresponds to something real in science. And that's exactly the point. They don't make things up. They borrow real science, but they remove the context. So talked about the gut microbiome in our episodes, which genuinely influences metabolic health. Short chain fatty acids from fiber fermentation improve insulin sensitivity. Microbial diversity absolutely matters. Inflammation is a real driver of insulin resistance. They're not fake concepts, but the ad takes them and uses them without clinical context.
Well, I think the really, I don't know if perverse is the right word, but, you know, I go back to the episode we did on gut dysbiosis, and eating garlic's probably a good mood for healthy guts. There's nothing wrong with the garlic. It's just that a mega dose of garlic is not the solution more than just a variety of plant-based foods to as it relates to making the guts happier, to promoting the.
But this is fermented garlic, not just a megadose. This is special.
There's a joke about ferments in here, and I'm not gonna do it.
Anyway, I see where you're going.
I really want
just
to.
meat and ferments. I did it for you. I couldn't help it. Okay. It never says, quote, in a randomized controlled trial of people with diagnosed parasitic infections, aged garlic extract produces these specific results, because that trial does not exist.
Yeah.
Instead, it surrounds you with enough real terminology that the overall narrative feels evidence-based, even though those specific claims are not supported at all. And I call this credibility laundering, kind of like money laundering. Your credibility laundering, where the ad takes legitimate findings from one domain, strips the original context completely, and places them inside a new narrative where they appear to support their product. And here's something even more maniacal about this particular ad. They reference a physician that and says that this physician supports this product, and this physician is some sort of a like World Health Organization, like a world renowned researcher on parasitic infections in third world countries and things like that. So like they reference her without, I know without her permission. They use her studies out of context, and then you look her up and you're like, oh, she's the real deal. She's legit, and she gives credibility to the supplement. She has no idea she's being used to market, which is so unethical.
And I don't know that unless they made $1 trillion, there's so many of these companies. There's so many different, and probably I would say that I've seen very simple, like as far as you know, where the actual product is developed, being distributed through multiple vendors with different labels and all that other kind of stuff. So I mean, like you chase down this one vendor that had this one particular ad. That doesn't mean that this is not going to continue to be sold under any number of different outlets.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, there really is no way to stop that kind of stuff effectively.
It's not regulated.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no police for this, you know. So then we have our other ingredient in this formula, if you will, which is the miracle ingredient. Every ad has one. It has the one thing that makes this different from every other scam that you've come across, everything else that you've tried. And in this case, it's this aged garlic extract, and specifically garlic that has been fermented for 24 months, which produces a compound called
What's it called?
Spell
that?
Allylcysteine. I know cysteine, the cysteine part, but allylcysteine. Yeah.
So
The ad,
apparently you can eat all the white food you want as long as you ferment it for 14 or 24
no,
months.
just the garlic. Only white food if it's garlic and if it's fermented for 24 months.
I got you.
Yeah. Anyway, the ad explains why raw garlic doesn't work. It claims to be destroyed by stomach acid, and why regular garlic supplements don't work. You got to knock out all the competition as well. It's not aged long enough.
It's that artisanal.
That's right. And why this particular product is the only one with the right formulation. And that's that golden key narrative. You know, that's the one ingredient, the one mechanism, one ring to rule them all. I couldn't help it. One product that unlocks everything. And so I want you to hold this up against the 12 core defects of type 2 diabetes. Hold it up even against what we discussed in episode 1, the actual biology of type 2 diabetes, your liver releasing sugar into the bloodstream, oftentimes inappropriately, even when there's plenty of sugar already in the bloodstream, your muscles losing the ability to pull that sugar in and use it, belly fat sending out inflammatory signals that make the whole problem worse, your gut bacteria shaping how you process food and respond to insulin trying to talk to cells all across your body, your muscles, your liver, your fat, all those cells gradually not able to listen. And that's really what is actually happening with type 2 diabetes. It's a whole body problem involving multiple systems talking to each other and breaking down together. And now compare that to what the ad just told you. That it's this one thing, this one hidden thing, buy this. So does it seem at all plausible that this one garlic compound addresses all of that?
Probably not. I mean, I don't ever want to say never, but I can give you a pretty high confidence
interval. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
may have overstated the value of the aged garlic.
That is almost never how human physiology works. The body is not a lock with one key, even though I use that analogy a lot, that insulin is the key that unlocks the door to the body cells. There is no one lock with one key. It's an ecosystem with hundreds of interacting variables. The one ingredient narrative is a storytelling device, and you're telling a big one. That's the big fish, big fish tale. And then you have the urgency close. That's another part of this formula. So the ad ends with buy one, get two free. Only while supplies last.
We're just giving it away.
Right? We couldn't harm. You know, what harm could it do? Or just try it. It's only $30. And their 24-month aging process means they've got just a limited supply, limited quantities available. So by this point, the ad has done its work. You have seen your symptoms reflected back to you. You've been given a hidden cause. You've been told it's not your fault. Your doctor has been dismissed. Out of here, doctor. The science sounds legitimate. The one ingredient has been identified, and now there's urgency, limited supply. Act now. And at this point, your brain is already halfway to the checkout page. The urgency just gives you permission to finish that journey. 7 steps, symptom net, got your villain, emotional release, authority disruption, scientific language, miracle ingredient, and then the urgency close. That is the formula. and it works whether that product is a parasitic cleanse, a detox from something or another, a blood sugar supplement, detox tea, or a hormone balancing tincture.
What about essential oils?
A hormone balancing or other kind of tincture, different product, same architecture. Okay. Disclaimer. I am not a psychologist. I have a third of a degree in psychology in my general studies degree, but I really wanted to try to look at the psychology underneath this. Maybe you should do this segment because you do have a degree in psychology.
I have a degree in psychology, but I'm not a psychologist.
No.
There's a world of difference.
And this is even more specifically cognitive psychology.
Yeah,
So
I especially don't have a specialty in that.
no,
Yeah.
no, we're going to try. Forgive us if there's any cognitive behavioral psychologist who would like to come on and talk, and we need someone we would like to have someone to interview in this space. So look us up. So I'm going to go a level deeper into this because understanding that formula that we just went through is very useful, but understanding why your brain responds so strongly to it is what will really protect you more in the future with this. So I found 5 psychological mechanisms that are at work here, and they operate below the level of consciousness. So below your level of awareness of what's going on. So mechanism 1 is cognitive ease. So your brain, I took a lot of notes here because this is I have my speciality, and then I have like where I'm diving into some new waters here I'm not as familiar with. So your brain prefers simple explanations, well documented across cognitive psychology. When you're presented with a complex set of symptoms and someone offers a single clean cause, your brain experiences what researchers call cognitive ease, which is apparently a feeling of fluency and rightness. I like to be right. I don't know if you knew this about me.
I picked up on some cues.
Maybe. So the explanation doesn't need to be true, really. It just needs to be easy. You have parasites. It's easy. You have a multi-system metabolic dysfunction involving hepatic insulin resistance, impaired skeletal muscle glucose disposal, visceral adipose-driven inflammation,
I'll take the parasites.
I'm almost done. And disrupted gut-brain signaling. That's accurate, but your brain is going to choose just like you already did it. You're such a good experiment with this. Yes. You're going to choose the easy every time unless you deliberately override that preference.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you could deliberately override the preference if this is sub-awareness, is this happening more subconsciously? So I don't know how that would work. Then mechanism 2 is pattern completion. We recognize patterns better than computers. We are very good at that as humans.
I always think how bored did ancient people have to be to make stories from stars? That's, like that was...
Look, there was no television.
There was no 1080p.
Don't judge them.
It was 6p. There was exactly 6 stars, and we're going to create this whole story around something that vaguely looks like that other kind of stuff. That's how deep that pattern recognition goes. That it's even seeing some, or lying down and looking up, and that cloud looks like a
I was going to
thing.
say, I do it with clouds all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you see the child and the gator and the this.
You
and
can you can make anything out of anything, and that's one of the things that we as a species are best at.
We really are. So when the ad gives you a list of symptoms and then provides a single cause, your brain completes that pattern automatically. 7 symptoms, 1 cause. Easy peasy, pattern complete. That completion feels like understanding. It feels like insight. And I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but we know diabetes does not have one cause. We did our little Dirty Dozen series, which comes from Dr. Ralph DeFranzo, who did extensive research into all of the core defects of type 2 diabetes. So this pattern recognition is going to give you this false sense of completion because you can put that reality into a simple frame. So then we have mechanism 3, the hope relief loop. So this is the one that makes people pull out their credit card. The ad creates a cycle. Here is your suffering. I recognize this suffering. Here is why. It gives you the explanation for it. It's not your fault. That is your relief in that. And here's the fix, which gives you hope. And that loop generates a neurochemical reward. The relief and hope are genuinely pleasurable, and the product then becomes associated with that pleasure before you even take in the product. This is why testimonials are so powerful in this ad. Our Rachel gets better. Her husband says, I got my wife back. You're not
and
just...
this time, parasite free.
Oh, it reminds me of a joke that you have that we're not going to tell. Anyway, you're buying the future.
Can I put it in the show notes?
No. No.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. You're buying the future that the ads have made you feel. You know, you guys, you think that we do this podcast for you, but we do it for us so often. I'm sorry. Mechanism 4, identity protection. It's not your fault does something specific. It protects your identity. And identity is so powerful. We talk about identity all the time. Like, I am a person who moves, and I am a person who is active. I am a person who cares for other people. These identity I am statements are very, very strong. And for someone who's been told either implicitly or to their face explicitly that their diabetes or their weight is their fault, the ads framing offers identity level relief. You're not undisciplined. You're not weak. You're infected. I mean,
riddled with parasites.
You just got the sinus. Sorry. That fundamentally different self-narrative, that's the fundamentally different self-narrative, and it's incredibly appealing to people. And the problem is that identity protection is tied to their product's narrative. And if you reject the product, you're rejecting your own self almost. It's like if you question that supplement, you're questioning your own self-worth, kind of. I don't know. Maybe I went too far with that one.
Yeah,
but
I mean, in all fairness, like if you go back to our episode on the diabetes epidemic, we did the exact same thing. I mean, we kind of broke down that it really... There may be some accountability, but there is a lot of things going on outside of your control that, if done for about 20 years, will at least half of the time result in pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. So I don't think that it's not your fault narrative is completely untrue. I mean, we did a very, I think the longest episode we've done, basically building the case for that. It's
not your fault, or it is your fault.
It's not your fault. The idea that there are other influences beyond your control that are causing this disease in the first place.
Absolutely. And then we have the illusion of control. I can fix this with this supplement. It feels like control. It means you don't need a doctor's permission. You don't need a prescription. You don't need to navigate a medical system that may have and quite possibly did dismiss you in some form or fashion. You can just order it tonight. and have a whole new life tomorrow. Start tomorrow fixing it. And for people with type 2 diabetes, especially those who've had negative experiences with healthcare, who felt judged or unheard, this sense of autonomous control that they have the power to do something feels incredibly powerful. It can feel very incredibly powerful.
Well, I think after years and years of just not being successful, we'll try anything. You know, and I think that's kind of the problem.
Absolutely, it is
the trying anything, but not committing to permanent change, or changes at least that if done consistently over time will put the disease into remission.
So I want to talk about then where it becomes harmful. Like, it's really time to shift into honesty around this opportunity cost and the actual cost, you know, go into that, because it costs real tangible things. And the most obvious would be the financial cost. Even though it's $30, this particular product, you know, pretty cheap compared to some, but the supplement habit, seeing this ad, that didn't work, try something different. This habit rarely stops at one product. And so, like, just take a second here and think about the things that you have bought in supplement form. Like, how much money have you spent on those across time? And I can say, as someone who has a degree in this field, I would not want to tally up and disclose the amount that I have spent through the years on supplement products, because I would be very embarrassed, and I'd be mad, because I'd be like, I could have gone on a vacation with that. Because yes, I've bought the green powder and then somehow got that stuff on auto renew. I don't know how that even happened. And
oh Lord,
I know. And I've bought other supplements too in the past, just mostly before my degree, you know, ages ago, but also going through the process of like just being like the most tired in my life when we had 3 kids under 5. I was more vulnerable. That's when I bought the greens powder. Anyway, people who buy parasite cleanses also buy probiotics, also buy liver detoxes, also buy inflammation support products. I've talked to many people who were spending $200 to $400 a month on supplements, none of which were producing measurable changes in their blood sugar, their weight, or their A1C. So let's look at over a year, $200 to $400 becomes $2,400 or $4,800 on products with no demonstrated efficacy for their condition. And just like as another context, I hear people complain, like literally on a daily basis, at least 5 days a week, I hear people complaining about their Medicare prescription drug plan, which has an out-of-pocket cap at $2,100. And we're talking about these supplement expenses coming in at a minimum of $2,400 for many people. And that is a significant financial burden over time, for sure. And then there's the time cost. And this one really, I would say, concerns me the most.
Yeah.
So this particular ad recommends a 90-day protocol. And 90 days of waiting for fermented garlic capsules to clear your parasites and restore your gut health. I mean, during those 90 days, the actual drivers of type 2 diabetes, hepatic glucose output, muscle insulin sensitivity, visceral fat, those are not being addressed in that time. 3 months is actually a very clinically significant window. And A1C is the measure of the sugar that's attached to your red blood cells over the past 3 months. You, in 3 months of targeted behavioral change, I have seen A1Cs go from 11 to 9 with automated insulin delivery systems. I've seen A1Cs go from 13 to 6.5 or 7. I mean, I've seen amazing changes in that time. And you just lost that, with 3 months of garlic supplement, you're going to see nothing, except for the condition and worsening over time. And you're worse off than you started because you added another thing that didn't work. And then mentally, there's a toll with that as well. Emotionally, another heavy one. When you believe something is going to work, when you've read the testimonials and felt that hope and committed to that protocol, and then it doesn't work, what do you conclude? And most people conclude either the product failed, which is kind of ideal. You would want to think the product failed, but most of the time, part of the conclusion, at least, is I failed. And that's really detrimental. And the supplement industry generates enormous amounts of self-blame because the marketing says the product works. So if it didn't work for you, that implied message is that something is wrong with you. And this accumulation of failed attempt after failed
parasites.
after failed attempts, and that internalized blame is genuinely harmful. And another just little side note on that, as a dietitian who has in the past worked, and a diabetes educator now, but in the past worked in hospital systems, looking at medical chart after medical chart, I've seen my fair share of pictures of colonoscopies and upper gastrointestinal imaging and all of this stuff. I have yet to have seen parasites. I'm not saying that some little kids don't have pinworms, and I'm not saying that you can't get, a fish tapeworm here and there from undercooked, not good quality sushi, but on the whole, that's in the United States, in more developed nations, that's really not something that many people have. And if you did, it's still, even if you cure the parasites, you take a pill for a day. Like if you have parasites, are you going to take something that takes 90 days? You're going to have these parasites for 90 days when you could take a medicine that can get rid of them in a day or two?
It's almost the joke.
No, please give me the 90-day parasites. Oh, yeah. And then we've talked about the medical delay. So, it could delay medication that's needed. I'm not saying that everybody needs medication, but the supplement industry's implicit promise is that you don't need a doctor for this. You just take this supplement, and that could genuinely change someone's trajectory, getting care, seeking the help that they need, and trusting in care that they need. So then the reframe is empowerment without shame. And I like to end every episode with hope. And if you've bought supplements because of an ad like this, you weren't wrong to want something easier. This isn't a shame blame game. You were not wrong to hope. You were responding rationally to marketing that was specifically designed to trigger that response. But you deserve something better than that marketing. You deserve to know that the biology of your condition is complex, and that's okay. Complex does not mean hopeless. It means the solution has to match the complexity. Supplements offer simple solutions to complex problems, and that mismatch is why they keep not working. They don't work. And so the new filter that I would like to offer you is that a very practical tool. The next time you see a health ad, any health ad, I want you to ask one question. Does this change the core biology of my condition? Does this make sure that my liver doesn't inappropriately release glucose? Does it make sure that the adipose tissue that's around my midsection doesn't send out hormone signaling to contribute to insulin resistance? If it doesn't do that, it's not working on the root cause of type 2 diabetes.
Well, to me, and again, as the layperson, the what I know after doing a number of these here is that if you are at a point where your doctor's having even a conversation about prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, your beta cells are already compromised. You already have reduced functioning beta cells, and that's going to continue to go in one direction. So there hopefully is a sense of urgency to take action to protect the beta cells that you have remaining. We talked a little bit on the neuropathy episode. It largely will probably not get back to 100% if you've already started to have nerve damage in your feet. Same with your, some of the stuff involving like retinopathy. So there's a couple of things that are associated with this particular disease that cannot wait. I would say even 90 days to see if the garlic's going to help with the neuropathy in my feet,
or whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Like
that, we can't beat this drum enough. Take action, and don't stop taking action until you start to see those numbers going back down. And if those numbers are not going down, what you're doing isn't working, and you need to do something different. Again, we're happy to help with the stuff that works, but the try a thing and I'm going to hook you for a quarter. On the hope that this is the miracle that they're trying to sell, that's probably the worst part of the marketing in my opinion, because again, there really is no time. There is no time to wait. That you're already behind, and you can no matter where you're at in your kind of air quotes diabetes journey, you can get better. Like there's no, wherever you're at, there's a lot that can happen to improve the symptoms, to improve the functioning of all of your systems. But some of the stuff doesn't ever get back to 100%. So the sooner you can take action, really, it's absolutely critical that wherever you're at on your journey, that you are moving in the right direction almost really every day.
Absolutely. And a term that you and I have used before in our talking and discussions is that diabetes is a bleeding neck problem. Even pre-diabetes, if it doesn't feel like a bleeding neck problem, could quickly become a bleeding neck problem. Therefore, it really is. So what you need is a tourniquet, in essence. If
as a combat lifesaver, please don't put a tourniquit
if you're
on
bleeding
a
to
neck.
death. Okay, let's say you got bit by a shark. Then you need a tourniquet. Okay, okay, help.
I understand what you're trying to do, but I'm just picturing your neck's bleeding and I'm cranking on that thing as hard as I can.
Choked out. Oh, gosh.
We've talked about your analogies. And,
yes, my analogies need work. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say, if you are bleeding to death, a Band-Aid is not going to fix it.
You need to take action.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's why I keep you around. I talk 90% of this, but yes. Yes. These small contributions that you make are really big, and I appreciate you. All right, bring us home, Richie.
I don't know where to go from.
Okay, I will.
What can they do besides taking 24-month aged garlic to to make
Quite a
this
lot
thing?
of things. There are a lot of levers you can pull. What's gonna affect your insulin? What's gonna affect your sensitivity to glucose? Exercise and movement.
Yeah.
What's going to affect your central adiposity and the inflammation? Finding a way to reduce visceral fat, which is oftentimes a caloric deficit, or moving more, or adding more
increasing
fruits
the
and
amount of
vegetables and fiber and beans and all of those things, getting adequate sleep, working on the cortisol levels, all of these. And if you want more tips on that, we have episodes on each of those more specifically. So the next episode, we're going somewhere that might surprise you. We've talked about ads from supplement companies, but some of the most effective supplement marketing in America does not come from companies you've never heard of. It comes from doctors you have heard of. Dr. Oz, Dr. Gundry. Normally I don't call out people specifically, but I think that
dimes
there
will
are,
be dropped on the next episode.
A dime dropped is a dime well spent. We're going to talk about the rise of celebrity medicine. And we're going to talk about what happens when the person selling you the supplement has MD after their name, which changes the psychology completely. I'm going to be another armchair psychologist and do my best.
As you're literally sitting in an armchair.
Yes. And we need to talk about it. So for now, what I want you to remember is once you see the Grift, once you see this formula, we talked about 7 steps in this formula, the way that they grab you emotionally and speak to your identity and make it okay. And once you see that pattern, hopefully you can't unsee it. So we'll see you in part 3.
Part 3 of the Diabetes Podcast. That's part 2 of the Grift. You now know the 7-step ad formula and how to ask, does this change the core biology of my condition? Next time, part 3, when the seller wears a white coat, celebrity medicine, MD endorsements, and how authority reshapes the pitch. If this helped, follow and leave a review. Your support keeps this free and helps more people find real help. Need additional help? Reach out to us at support@empowereddiabetes.com. Till next time, take courage. You can do this, and we can help.